right. Well, good morning. I am Lisa Friesman. I'm part of the Missouri University Microsoft 365 training team, and Greg Kelly is also a portion of this team. And today we're going to be kind of tag teaming on, we'll go over things like Teams calendars versus Outlook calendars, creating channel calendars and how all of that works. And Greg's going to follow up with SharePoint calendars and SharePoint lists and calendar view. So he'll end it, and I'll go ahead and get started with the first part. Okay, so you could see my Teams calendar here, and as you probably are aware, it syncs directly back to my personal Outlook calendar. And if I was to overlay that on top, you can look at my personal calendar, and it's exactly the same as my Teams calendar because they do, yes, indeed, sync together. So when you create a, let's go ahead and move my calendar back. So when you create a calendar event in Outlook and you start to add all of the information, you have the option of toggling on and off if it's going to be a Teams online meeting versus just a regular calendar events, say with a room location as an example. So that's one thing you can compare with Teams. And I'm going to cancel that one. Come on. Okay. Okay. So when I compare it to Teams, and I'm in the Teams calendar, again, Teams and Outlook are syncing together. When I create a calendar event through Teams, it automatically assumes that it's going to be an online meeting. But as in the Outlook, you can toggle this option on and off as much as you want. So I'm going to discard that event. Okay, so let's talk about Teams channels and calendars associated with that. I'm going to click on my team, and I'm looking at my personal team. And if you haven't created a personal team for yourself, you don't necessarily have to share it with anyone, but it's a great tool to just get used to it without maybe so much live data that you would be concerned with. So we encourage you to go ahead and create your own team. You'll get 25 terabytes of storage, and in the meantime, you'll have a great way of organizing a lot of information and details. So when you're in a team and you're on a different channel, any one of your channels within a team can actually have a SharePoint calendar associated. I'm sorry, not a SharePoint, can have a channel calendar associated with it. If I was, say, in a post, I'm on the standard, I'm on my channel that happens to be labeled as standard. If I was in a post and I replied to a post, I have the option of creating and scheduling a meeting. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that now. And you can see that you have the options of repeating all of the typical details that you would fill out in a regular standard meeting. You do have options about bypassing the lobby, just let them come on in, or there's various different options. I'm not going to get too crazy on those details. Do you want to record this automatically? There's additional options that you have. For instance, do you want to announce people when they enter and leave? Kind of an annoying sound, but that's an option for you. Do you want other co-organizers or who can present? So again, I'm not going to get crazy, but there's various different options you can add with creating a channel event. So when you create it, I'm going to close this for now. When you create it, it actually puts a post in that you have created, a a channel meeting. Now, notice this little icon right here. If I were to go to my calendar and it was yesterday at 3:30, I'm going to go to my calendar now. You can look at my yesterday at 3:30, and this is that same post message that you saw that a channel meeting was created. And you can see that little icon looks very much the same. And you can see where it actually originated from. So let's go back to the channel. So those are things that you can do within a channel itself to create a calendar event. Now, why would you do this? Well, number one, it's much faster than the traditional go to your Outlook or other calendar, set up an email, and so forth. Others can reply to a message, the event, and add documents, whatever details that they want, comments, files. All of this can be in prep for the meeting itself. And everyone within the channel can see this information, which is not just the meeting organizer, which is what happens when you're using a traditional email to schedule a meeting. So anyone can get back to all of this information, and these past documents and chats can be very easily kept on top and remembered. You can even pin this at the top. So within the channel, or pin it within this list of posts. So if your team is preparing for a meeting and people are kind of collaborating beforehand, adding documents, whatever, why not pin it so that it's upfront for everyone and they will see it and have a chance to kind of prepare mentally as well as what they need for the meeting itself. So it's a good way to keep on top of meetings that way as well. And again, everyone within that channel would be able to see it. So a good pro tip for a meeting created this way is at the end of your meeting, within the chat of the meeting itself, it's a great idea to post those next steps, final decisions, etc., to be documented through the channel, saving everybody a lot of valuable time for the next meeting that might occur. And yes, these can be reoccurring meetings, but you'll be able to pick up very quickly where you left off because all those details are right there. If someone isn't around, of course, they can see past information. So that's always very, very beneficial. So another way you can create a calendar is through a channel calendar. Now, I've called it channel calendar just because that's what I called it, but this is, again, a great way to access all of the events for that particular channel in one place. Now, I'm going to click on this that I've created and notice that same 3:30 yesterday is still here, but everything else on my calendar, I'll give you a quick comparison. There's a lot going on in this calendar, but in my team's channel calendar is just specific to that channel itself. Now, how do I create a channel calendar? Well, I would go up to the top, hit the plus. I would either search for it through channel calendar or select it here. Now, I already have one called channel calendar, so I'm going to call this one 2 channel calendar. Now, I kind of like not to post this information. To me, it's just a preference of my end. It kind of interrupts people, but they'll see it. But if you choose to not want to post it to everyone in the team, you can turn that off, add it, and ta-da, we have the second calendar. Now, you can add as many calendars as you want going out there, different separate names. However, they're all going to be the same thing because it's within this channel. I have the first channel calendar, It looks exactly like the second channel calendar. If I was to add a new event, I'm just going to say send. And did I get it? So if I was to add a new event, it would give me the option of saving it and discarding it and so forth. And if I saved it, all right, there's my new event. If I go to the first one, guess what? It's the same thing. So even though you can have multiple calendars, it's still going to be the same single calendar for the entire channel. Now, if I were to go to my general channel and look at my channel calendar there, I don't have anything listed, but except for one that I put on there separately, but it's, again, know that it's separate from a different channel on that calendar itself. So some of the key points to a channel calendar, again, it brings together all of the information for that specific channel. It's a great way to set up meetings in a calendar format. You can always do it through a post, but through a posted example, it's just an easy way to look at everything in a quick shot and easily set it up. Now, again, and each channel has only one calendar, even though you can add as many as you want. If you wish to delete a calendar, you can go to the calendar, right-click, and say remove, and that second one is all gone. All right. I will let Greg continue from here. Greg, if there's anything that you would like to add to this part, please go ahead. And if there's any questions, do please let us know as well. And Greg, I will watch the chat.
All righty.
As you continue on.
All right, let me share my screen now. All right, so you should be able to see my screen. We're going to talk about list calendars, calendar view, and some SharePoint stuff. So when you have a team, behind the team is SharePoint, right? Here's one we called DoIT training. So we have a SharePoint site. I'm going to go out to SharePoint and do this, and then I'll show you how you can put these calendars into Teams and how you can access them in Outlook. So I'm going to go to Files and just open in SharePoint just to get to the SharePoint site. The first thing we'll do is List. So if you're not familiar with List, it's just another application that you can do in SharePoint. So I'm going to go to Home, my home screen. And I'll do this slow in case you'd like to follow along. So in Home, I have the option of creating some new lists, document libraries, other pages. So I'm going to drop this down, New, and I'm going to choose List. I'm just going to choose I'm going to create my own, but you might check out List. It has a lot of nice templates like onboarding and event itinerary that you can start with those templates and modify those as needed. But for this example, I'm just going to create a blank list. And this is just going to be called, this is going to be my time off list. Okay, and you can give it a description. I don't need to show this in my navigation bar. So I'm going to simply create a blank list called time off. It'll come in with, when it comes up, it'll have a title, and then I can add other columns eventually. There we go. So we have a title, and I can rename that if I wish, but I'm just going to simply add another text field, and we'll call this the description of what I'm going to do on my time off. I'll leave the rest of that as blank. And then I'll just simply add a date. You have to have a date field, of course, for a calendar. And I'm going to say start day off and include time friendly format. I'll do that because it'll make the date look a little bit better. I'm not going to do a time. And then another date field for my ending. So start and end day off. And a friendly format. Okay, I just want to get get that layout. So now that I have this, let me go ahead and put some text in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit in my grid view. And I'm just gonna say Greg off, and my description, I'm headed to Hawaii. How's that sound? And Lisa, I didn't tell you, but I'm leaving next week. Okay. And I'm going for 2 weeks. Okay. So I'll be gone for a couple weeks, and then I'll exit my grid view just so I have something in there. Okay. So of course you can have any way that you can use Microsoft Forms. You can use a lot of ways to get this information filled out. Now, once it's filled out, we just have a list view. If I come up here to new, all items, I can create a new view. Okay, I'll drop that down, say create a new view. This is going to be my calendar view. And of course, which one I want to select calendar. Default is month. My start date on the calendar will be my start day off and my end day off. So now when I create this view, it'll have the calendar view, and here it has all the information. So as I put more things on the list, it will have this, it'll update the calendar. So now what I could do is just highlight the address at the top and copy that address. And let's say I want people in a channel or in a team to see this. I could simply come back here, and as Lisa showed you on the application, it's just a website. So I can say, hey, we're going to add a website. And it says, what's your tab name? This is our team. Time off. There we go. And we are going to paste that URL. And I don't need to post that in the channel. They'll just see that. So now when I save that, it'll show my time off calendar. Your site isn't loading correctly. Click here. Okay. Cool. We'll just give that a little time. So then your calendar is in there. And here it is. And you can easily click on any of these, hit new, and it comes up with this form. So then people can fill out this form straight from the calendar. So anybody who has access to this team can enter that. But if I go back to SharePoint, I can always edit who has what access, who can edit things, who can just read the calendar. There's some Power Automate you can do. So if it's an approval that needs to be done, there's an approval process. Like I want to take vacation. Once it's approved, then it goes on the list. So you can do a lot of things within a list. Okay. So that is a list. It's a calendar view within a list. Lists are really powerful. You can do a lot of things with those, especially, like I said, if you use approval, Power Automate, you can use a Microsoft Forms to bring things into a list. The other type of calendar you can have is just the standard SharePoint calendar. And again, I'm going to come back to our home site for the team. And if I click on new, this time it's actually an application, the calendar is. So if I click on calendar, we get the modern look of SharePoint. Calendar has been around. They're trying to get this modern stuff is a lot of things that people are, third-party stuff. Here it says, these are SharePoint store or custom apps allowed in your organization. It says built-in apps such as custom lists, document libraries, calendar, and others can be found in the classic experience. That is a link. It's kind of small, so you kind of have to look for that. So you got to click on classic experience to take you back to that interface. So I'm going to click on classic experience. Now I can now I have a lot more options. Now I could look for calendar because I will use the calendar app. It's SharePoint, and there it is. So I'm going to click on calendar. You can have up to 10 calendars per site. So it's per team. So what some people do, let's say that I have a department and I want like 5 departments. I want 5 departments to keep their own calendar, but then I want the sixth calendar to overlay all of those. kind of a master calendar. Okay, so I can do that within here. So to keep this kind of simple, pick a name. I'm gonna make a flag. I'm gonna make 3 calendars, overlay it onto a flag. I'm gonna make a red, white, and a blue. How's that? So this is my red calendar. And under advanced options, let me just point this out as well. You can give it a description, and you can have the group calendar option. So let's say that I have a list of people in my team, and I want to show the list of each person's calendar. Let me just show what that looks like. I'm kind of doing a different direction, just real quick to show what this is. Team members. And if I say, yeah, use this as a shared members schedule. So I say, yes, I'll create this. And it's going to say, you can have, when my time off is, and maybe Lisa's and then Kristen's. So we can keep track of calendar views in this way. So that's what the advanced feature does. Back up a couple also. Let me go back to the red calendar. And that's just under the advanced options. But let's go back to our red calendar. I'm going to create a red calendar. So now I have a red calendar. Okay. And let me just continue with this. I'm going to do another calendar. And in order to do that, actually, I can't do a, let's see, that says event list. I can't do it here. I have to go back to home, add the other applications. I had to do that 3 more times. So hopefully it won't take me long to do this. So I have to go back to app, class experience, add the app calendar. Is it at the top? No. Be nice if I remembered that. Calendar. I'm going to add that again. Red, white. Things are running slow today.
I'm running slow too.
There you go. And app, and we'll do a blue. And oop, what am I doing? How about calendar? Got ahead of myself. We'll add that calendar. So these are treated as individual applications. Each of these are a calendar. Blue. And the last one I will do is a flag. So that calendar, I'm going to use that one to overlay the other 3. And of course, if you have this in Outlook, you can sync each of the red, white, and blue to Outlook, and then you can have the view overlay there, right? And I'll do that as well. Calendar. This one takes a little bit more to set up, but it's nice because each area, like at the College Vet Medicine where Lisa and I was at before, we could have student calendars. And each area, the equine, bovine, each of them they would have permission to update their own calendar, but then we'd have a student events calendar that would do all of them. Okay, so we have a red calendar and just white and blue. I didn't put calendar. So let's look at the red calendar. And it's just like a regular calendar, right? And then you have the white calendar. It shows me the recent ones, and the blue. But what I could do on the flag, let me put something on the red calendar for tomorrow. I'm going to add this. Add an event. Is everybody at work today or something? It's really running slow. Red event. Okay. A category. I could put this as a meeting location. Okay, let me save this one. And then I can go to the white calendar and put something here. And I'll just put white event. And then the blue calendar. I probably should have put those on different ones, but that's okay. It's the same time because then you can see blue event. You can see they all can be at the same time. Get together. Okay, so all these are on the 20th, but what I can do now is I can go to the flag calendar. Up here at the top under calendar, here's an calendar overlays, and I can pick what calendars do I want to overlay on here. So here, if I pick new calendar, the calendar name. Gosh, it is white, red calendar. And I can give it a color. You know what? Rather than doing that, let me do something else. I can type the URL address. So if I come back to red calendar, let me just get this address. This will be a lot easier. Copy that. So I just want to paste these addresses. We'll put this on the other page here, red. And I'm gonna copy the white. Put that in my Word document. All I'm doing is pick up the addresses for each of my calendars. And then blue. All right. So now when I go to my flag and I go to calendars, calendar overlay at the top. Now when I say new calendar, this one, since I've got it pasted here, let me this is my blue. It's my last one I did. So it says blue there. So this is my blue calendar. And I can give it whatever color, right? I can give it it doesn't have a blue. That would be nice. How about a dark teal? That's pretty close to blue. The list, let's resolve this. If I hit resolve, it'll find it. It's the blue calendar. And I want to always show that one. So it's my blue calendar. Okay, let me copy this hyperlink here. And we'll add the white calendar. White calendar. And I can put anything I want up there. It's just a description that's listed in my flag. So this will be white, resolve that. Then I pick which one it is, white. Calendar, as far as the view, yes. And then my red, let me copy that link. And then new calendar. You know what, I didn't change the color of that other one. I'll go back and change it. This is my red. Get the address. That's my red, resolve it. I'll make sure to change this to red, that makes sense. And change this to red. So it just sees those, you just gotta pick the appropriate list and show it as a calendar and show that one. I need to go back and change my white calendar. I can click right on those calendars. White one will make it I've got teal. How about a purple on with that one? That's good. Okay. So now when I go back and look at my flag, it will show all my calendar events here. So what I could do now is come back into my calendar, and here it says I can connect this to Outlook. So if I connect it to my Outlook, sure. It's going to open my Outlook. Should I trust this? Sure, why not? It's to do a training flag calendar. And this shows up here. So now it will show my events. Was that for tomorrow? It might take a little while here to sync. Let me look here. It is tomorrow. But while that's syncing, I can also take this calendar, again, copy that, and I could put it into a team channel. Adding another website. And we can call this one my flag. The address. Save that. And here's all my events. And of course, this is just adding it to the flag calendar. If I need to add something to the blue calendar, then I would have to go. Yeah, this thing is running really slow. Right now, this is just my flag calendar. If I want to add something to the blue calendar, I'd have to come to blue and then add the event. Okay, and then it would show up under. So if I add another blue. whatever you want it to be, a anniversary, birthday. Okay. So that's blue. If I go back to my flag, it will show up as a blue. Okay, but just know if you add something here, it's actually adding it to the flag. It's not adding it to those other ones. A lot of people are going more to the list. I will tell you, a lot of people are going more to list with the calendar view. But the only thing is with that, you cannot sync it to Outlook. The reason they kept this one is because you can connect it to Outlook and make them available offline using Microsoft Outlook. Yeah, so that was a nice feature here.
Do you have any feedback for M365 versus Office in the past when you would try to connect to Outlook, a SharePoint calendar to Outlook? It might have some sync issues and just kind of break. And that part of it was because we all weren't on the same platform, the M365 platform. Now that we are, have you had any feedback for if there's those kind of sync issues with when connecting to Outlook?
Yeah, what Microsoft will tell you, what people were doing, and let me just test it here. What people were doing, they were making changes within Outlook. So they would come in here and they would add an event. Microsoft, they say not to do that because what you just mentioned, because it's only supposed to be one way. You're only supposed to be able to see it in Outlook, not make changes where people were like, well, it's working, but that is a concern just because it's not made for that. So if I put title on that, so again, they say to make the change in SharePoint. So let me refresh this and see if that title showed up. Yeah, so it shows up, but it's not always.
It can break.
It can break. It's not always. It's not reliable. Of course, I say that, but it looks like it's more reliable than getting them in here.
Yeah, I was wondering if the new M365 was any nicer to work with compared to the regular Office, if that helped with some of the tools that it did that before that Wooden was breaking. But always making those kind of changes within SharePoint would definitely resolve that overall. I did get a message about restarting today, so.
Okay. Yeah, I have a send and receive error, so I'm having trouble getting things in from SharePoint. I can funny because I can send it out, but typically you type it in there, and once you say connect to Outlook, it works flawlessly. But on the live demo, it's not going to do that. Kristen, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. It was pretty easy to follow along.
Okay, good. So does it make you have understanding now the difference between? There's a lot of different ways to use calendars. One way that Lisa mentioned that I use a lot is under. Let me go to my team. Is the channel calendar, and that's just because on my Teams Talk Tuesday, I add a channel calendar to my Teams Talk. So I have a Teams Talk calendar for that channel. It's a channel calendar. And then I can just bring that up. And if I need to schedule something for Teams Talk, then I click here. Everybody on the team gets notified and it puts it on their calendar. So let me go back to last week. So a channel calendar is just for scheduling meetings. Like I wouldn't put in time off because it's only made for meetings. So if I try to open something up and say, hey, I'm going to put in information, it'll just treat that as a meeting. So discard that. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming out, and I hope that you found this beneficial. After I stop the recording, we are going to put that survey again in the chat.
Which I just did.
Okay. So thank you, Kristen, for coming out, and I will stop the recording.
Thank you.